Alright, so my name is Bilal and today we'll be solving Cambridge IGCSE Mathematics 0580 P4 Chapter 3, that is Mensuration. Alright, so here is an announcement that please do like, share and subscribe our channel. So let's start with question number 24. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G as is a cuboid. AB is equals to 8, BC is equals to 5, CG is equals to 11, and we need to work out the volume of the cuboid. So volume is basically length into breadth into height, which is 8, 5 and 11. So we multiply 8, 5 and 11, we get our answer as 440. Okay. Now Ivana has a pencil of length 13 centimeter. Does this pencil fit completely inside the cuboid? Show how you decide. Alright, so we need to check if this completely fits up or not, right? So it doesn't fit like this, it can't fit like this, alright, and it can't fit like this. Okay, so these three options are cancelled out, right? So let's just take something. If we can put it like this, or we can keep it in all three directions, right? Let's just say we can keep it like this. We can keep pencils like this. Okay, so this is our slant height, this is our slant height, right? And let's just check if we can keep a length of 13 over here or not. Okay, so let's just take a square root of 8 square and 11 square. Why? Because we are keeping the pencil like this, and we have our base as 8 and we have our height as 11, right? So this is something like this. We have kept it somewhat like this. That I would say something like this. Keep pencil like this. Okay, right? So let's just say we have base as 8 and our height as 11, right? So what do we get over here? We get something like 14 or 13. Let's just calculate it. This would be 11 squared and 8 squared, right? So we get our answer as 13.6, right? So this will be our 13.6. So this Ivana, if Ivana has a pencil of length 13 centimeter, it can be fit like this, where we have our base as 8 and we have our height as 11. So this is our height and this is our simply base, right? So when these two are in contact, we can keep it something like this. Okay, so now we have the next part. We'll solve the next part, or we can also use the base as well. So for base, if we have base as well, so we can use 8 square plus 5 square and 11 square to get our hypotenuse. Okay, so this would be 8 squared plus 5 squared, then 11 squared, so this would be 14.5, right? So this 13 can be fit over here as well, and this 13 can be fit over here. Okay, so now let's move on to our next question, which is C part 1. Calculate angle CAB, right? So we have angle CAB. Just remove these lines. We have to calculate the angle CAB, right? So this is CA and B, right? So we have to calculate this angle. So this would be simply, we have the opposite and we have the adjacent. So we'll use the tan here. Tan CAB is equals to, we have opposite as 5 and our adjacent as 8. So this would be 5 over 8. So we get our answer as 32 degrees, right? So now let's move on. We have part 2 as calculate angle GAC. So this is G we have AC over here, then we have GAC. Okay, so we have 11 over here, this would be 90, and we have this, we have to calculate the GAC, right? So we have 11 as our opposite and our adjacent as AC, right, which we can calculate, right, by using 5 and 8, or we can use the sine formula as well, right? So let's just take AC. Will have our AC as 5 squared plus 8 squared square root. So this would be 9.43, right? Then we have 11, so we use again tan inverse 11 over 9.43, so we get our answer as 49.4, right? This would be 49.4. So what we have done over here is we have calculated this AC by using 5 and 8. We have used Pythagoras theorem over here. We have our height as 11, this is 90 degrees, right? And we have our theta, that is GAC, right? So tan inverse is done over here to calculate GAC. Okay, now let's move on to question number 25. We have the diagram shows a solid cone and a solid hemisphere. The cone has radius this, slant height this, the hemisphere has radius r. Total surface area of the cone is equal to the total surface area of the hemisphere, right? So we are given with the curved surface area of both, right? For the cone, the curved surface area is basically this. We have to add this circle as well to get the total surface area, right? So the total surface area of cone is equals to curved surface area, that is CSA. We'll write curved surface area as CSA plus pi r square, that is circle, right? Circle, this circle, right? And similarly in the hemisphere, we are given with the curved surface area, that is this basically, right? So we have to add pi r square again, right? So this would be CSA plus pi r square, right? That is circle, right? So we have, since these two are equal, we have curved surface area of cone as pi r L plus pi r square. Then we have curved surface area of hemisphere as 4 pi r square and pi r square, right? So these pi r square and pi r square cancels out. No, I don't think these will cancel out because we have different r's over here, right? And I cancelled pi r L, which is wrong. Okay, so we have pi r L, we have pi as this, we have r as 2.4 in our cone, and we have our slant height as 6.3, and we have our radius again as 2.4. Now we have 4 pi, we need the r plus pi r square, right? So let's take r square as common over here, so this would be 4 pi plus pi, right? This would be 5 pi, and this 5 pi would be divided over there. Let's just take more space over here, so this would be pi into 6.4. Let's just calculate it, let's just simplify this. This would be pi, if we take pi as common, we get 2.4 multiplied by 6.3 plus 2.4 whole squared, then we divide it by 5 pi, so this pi and pi cancels out, so we are left with this 2.4 multiplied by 6.3, and then 2.4 square is added, then we divide it by 5, so we get our answer as 4.176. And since this is, oh, I missed something, this is a sphere's curved surface area, so we have to divide it by 2, right? So this will be divided by 2. This will be divided by 2 to we get our answer as 2. This would be 2 and this would be 3, right? So let's just recorrect it. Okay, I made some mistake over here, or let me just see. Did I make some mistake? Or so we have pi into 2.4 squared and then pi multiplied by this, okay, and then 3 pi, okay. So I guess I made some calculation mistake. 2.4 multiplied by 6.3 is basically 15.12 plus 2.4 squared over 3, 6.96. I think I made some mistake over here. Yeah, so this is r squared, right? And we have to take a square root of our final answer. So this is 6.96 whole root. So this would be r square and whole root. So we get our r as 2.63, 2.64 to be correct. Okay, so this is it from this question, this part. And we have our part B as the diagram shows a solid cone with radius this and a height this. A cut is made parallel to the base of the cone and the top section is removed. The remaining solid has a height of 12 as shown in the diagram. Calculate the volume of the remaining solid. Okay, so we need to calculate the remaining solid's volume. Okay, so let's move on. We have the volume of a cone. Let's just take the volume, calculate the volume of the cone first. So this would be 1 upon 3 pi. We have radius as 7.6 squared. Then we have height as 16, right? So then we can calculate this. We can use what we can do is we can calculate the, what I would say, this would be height of this. Height of this would be 16 minus 12 would be 4, right? So we can use this height of this cone, and then we can calculate the radius as well, right? What we can use as a radius, right? So this is basically a similar triangle, right? So this is 7.6 and this is 4. We have this as 4. We have this height as 4, right? So let's just take similar triangles by using similar triangles property. Because we have this as 7.6, we have total height of 16, right? So this is cut from here and this is basically 4, right? And we need to calculate this, right? We need to calculate the radius. So we have 4 over, we need to calculate this since this will be x, and then we have 16 and 7.6, right? So this is 16 and then 7.6, right? So let's just calculate this. So we'll get our answer as have I done it correctly? Just check it first. So this would be 4 times 7.6 and then divided by 16. So we get our answer as 1.9, right? So this is 1.9, right? So we have our radius as 1.9 over here and our height as 4, right? So let's use this 1.9. So this would be 1 upon 3 pi 7.6 whole squared, then 16. Then we'll subtract the cone, which is basically cutted from above this. So we have this is 1 upon 3, sorry. And then we have radius as 1.9 and our height as 4, right? So let's just calculate this quickly and then move on. So we get our answer as something here as 7967.778. Then we can calculate this. This is 1/3 pi into 1.9 squared. This is squared. And then 4. So this would be 15.12. Okay. Just take 122. Okay. So we have to subtract 967. We have to subtract 15.122 from 967.778. So this would be 952.6 or 7, right? So this would be 952.6. Okay. Now let's just move on to question number 26. We have a cuboid has length L centimeter with W and height as H centimeter, right? So we are given with this net diagram. So this is W, this is W, this is W, this is W, and this is W, right? This is length, right? This is our height, this is our height, this is our height, this is our length, this is our length, right? And this will again be our height, right? Because the width and height ratio is missing. So this is only height, this can only be height, width and height, right? So we are given with two things with the ratio of W and L as 1:2, and we can just simply write it as W upon L is equals to 1/2. So this would be 2W is equals to L, right? So we have first equation over here. Then we can create another equation by using this H, W, and then again H, right? So this would be W plus 2H is equals to 20.1, right? This is our second equation. Now let's just make an equation from here. So this is L, then H, then L, then H again, right? So we have 2L plus 2H is equals to 37.8. Okay. So we have these equation over here. We can use any of the two. Let's just use these two, right? First we subtract these two. So this 2H and 2H cancels out. So we get W minus 2L is equals to 20.1 minus 37.8 would be this would be negative 17.7, right? So we have 2W as L, right? So let's just take W as common over here. So this would be L upon 2. We have W minus 2 into L upon, sorry, we already have L as 2W, so we don't need to make a mess over here. So this would be 2 into 2W is equals to negative 17.7. So this would be negative 3W because this will be 4W and then W. So this would be negative 3W and then negative 17.7. Negative cancels out. We get our 17.7 divided by 3 as 5.9. Okay, so we have our width as 5.9, right? So we double it to get our L. So this would be 2 multiplied by 5.9. We get our answer as 11.8. Then we plug in over here, right? So 2L would be 11.8, and we need to calculate 2H and then 37.8. This goes over there and then this 2 is divided over here, right? So this would be 37.8 minus 2 into 11.8 then divided by 2, right? So let's just quickly calculate this. This would be 2 into minus 2 into 11.8 and then divide it by 2. Okay, so we get our answer as 7.1 as our height. Okay. Now let's just move on to part B. We have our part B where the diagram shows a solid pyramid with a rectangular base. E is vertically above D. Okay. Angle EDC is angle EDC and angle EDA, we have 90 degrees. AB is equals to 18, BC is equals to 15, and EC is equals to 24. The pyramid is made up of wood and has a mass of 800 grams. Okay, mass is 800 grams. Okay, calculate the density of the wood. Give the units of your answer. Okay, so we need to calculate the volume, right? Because for density we have mass over volume, right? So we are given with the volumes formula. We have to calculate the volume and then 1/3 area of the base and the height. Okay, so we have 18 over here. We need to calculate this height. We have 24 over here, right? So let's just quickly calculate the height first. So this would be by using Pythagoras theorem. So this would be 18 square. Sorry, we have 24 as our hypotenuse. We have our base as 18 and we need to calculate the perpendicular, right? So this would be 24 squared negative 18 squared, then square root to get our perpendicular, which is height. So our height would be 24 squared negative 18 squared. This would be, let's just take it as 6 root 7, right? So we have our height as 6 root 7. We can plug it in. We have 1/3. Our base area would be 18 into 15, right? Because it is a rectangular base and we have our lengths as 18 and 15, right? So this would be 18 multiplied by 15 multiplied by this 6 root 7, right? So we get our answer as 1428.7057. Okay, so this is basically centimeter cube. Now finally we have to calculate the density, right? We have our density, we have our mass as 800 grams and we have our volume as 1428.7057, right? So let's just quickly do it. Yeah, so this is 0.56. Since this was in gram and this was in centimeter cube, so this would be grams per centimeter cube. Okay, calculate the angle between BE and the base of the pyramid, right? BE and the base of the pyramid. Okay, so we already have this height. We need to calculate this angle. For this we need this length. Okay, so this is 15, this is 18. Since it's a rectangle, this would be a 90 degrees, right? So we can calculate this first. So this would be 18 plus 15 whole squared, 18 squared plus 15 squared, right? So we will get our answer as this BD, right? And then we have our height as DE, which is 24 squared negative 18 squared. So this would be this, we need to calculate this theta. We have this as perpendicular and this as base, right? So we have tan theta is equals to 24 squared negative 18 squared over 18 squared plus 15 squared, right? And then we take a tan inverse over here. So this would be tan inverse, right? Yeah, I have written it over here just to clarify this. Okay, so this would be 34.1. Okay, now let's move on to question number 27. We have a solid cuboid measures 20 by 12 by 5. Volume of the cuboid, we have to just multiply all these. So this would be 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 5, right? So this would be 1200. Now we have calculated the total surface area of the cuboid. For the total surface area of the cuboid, there is a formula, that is 2 multiplied by L multiplied by W plus 2 multiplied by L multiplied by height plus 2 L multiplied by, sorry, L are lengths are done. So this would be width multiplied by height. Okay, so we have 20 by 12, then we have 20 by 5, then we have 12 by 5, right? So we calculate these, then we get our answer as 800. Okay, so this would be 60, and 60 multiplied by 2 is 120. This would be 100, 100 multiplied by 2 is 200, right? And this is 240 multiplied by 2, 480, right? So this is 600 and then 200 added to get our answer as 800. The surface area of the cuboid is painted. The cost of the paint used is $1.52. Find the cost to paint 1 centimeter square of the cuboid. Give your answer in cents. Okay, so 800 centimeter square is painted and $1.52. We need to calculate 1 centimeter square dollars for dollars. Okay, so let's just cross multiply it because it will be a direct proportion. So this would be 1.52 divided by 800. Right, so this would be 0.0019. Okay, since we need to give our answer as cents, so our cents would be 0.19 because this is divided by 100 to get our cents, right? So this would be 0.19 cents. Okay, a solid metal cylinder with radius x and height 9x upon 2 is melted. All the metal is used to make a sphere with radius r. Find r in terms of x. Okay, so basically what they have done is a solid metal cylinder with radius x is melted and height 9x upon 2 is melted. All the metal is used to make a sphere with radius r. Okay, so we'll have the same volume in both the cases. So the volume of cylinder is basically pi r square h, and we have our volume of sphere as 4 upon 3 pi r cube, right? So since these all are equal, we need to find r in terms of x. Okay, so this is pi, we have r as x, then we have 4.5x, this is x squared basically. So, and this is 4 upon 3 again pi, and this is r. Okay, so this pi and pi cancels out, and since we need to find the r, we need to make r as our subject, so this 3 would be multiplied over there, right? And this would be 4.5 times 3 would be 13.5 x cubed. This would be our this 3 is multiplied and 4 is divided. Okay, so this would be 3.375 x cubed, because these x are multiplied, and then we get our answer as r cube. So we take cube root, this would be cube rooted, this would be cancelled out, and 3.375 cube rooted is 1.5. So this would be 1.5x. Okay, now let's move. Okay, so now we have part CS. The diagram shows a cylinder of length 150 on horizontal ground. The cylinder has radius 20 centimeters. The cylinder contains a water of depth 5 centimeters as shown in the diagram. Okay, calculate the volume of water in the cylinder, giving your answer in liters. Okay, so let's just quickly see this first. So this would be something like this. Okay, and this is a pyramid type of thing, so this would be something like this, and then again this, right? So we have to first calculate the area of sectors and then subtract the area of triangle to get our area, and then we have to multiply it by 150, both by 150, right, to get our final volume. So let's just calculate the areas first. So this would be 15 because this hole is 20 and this is 15, right? And this, let's just say this is AB. So this is, okay, sorry, this is this is 15, and this we have as 20, right? So let's just quickly calculate this AOB angle, right? So we'll have our AOB angle as cos theta, that would be, sorry, AOB. That won't be AOB because this we have to multiply it by 2, because this would be 2 times, right? Because this is half of AOB. So I'm just imagining it as AOB first, then we'll multiply it by 2 to get our AOB, okay? So this would be, we have our base as 15 and we have our hypotenuse as 20, right? So this would be cos inverse 15 over 20, then we multiply it by 2, right, to get our AOB. So this would be simply 2 multiplied by cos inverse of 15 over 20. So this would be 82.81, right? 82.82. Let's just take it at 82.82. So this would be our AOB, right? We have our AOB. We can now calculate the area of sector, and then we multiply it by 150 to calculate the volume, right? Volume is equals to area of sector multiplied by 150, basically, because it's a prism, or because this is 150 in both the cases, right? So we have our area of sector as 82.82 over 360, that is x upon 360, and then pi r squared. So this would be 20 squared, right? So we'll get our answer as we'll plug in this over here. So this would be simply 82.82 upon 360 multiplied by pi r squared is 20 squared. Then we eventually multiply it by 150. Okay, so this would be 43364.45, right? Now we have to calculate the area of triangle. We have this, we have our AOB as 82.82, we have these as 20, so we can use the sine area. So this would be 20 and then again 20 and then again 82, sine 82.82, right? So let's calculate the volume of the prism and then subtract both. So this would be 1 over 2 multiplied by 20 whole squared, then sine 82.82, then this would be multiplied by 150, right? So this would simply be 20 squared multiplied by 0.5 multiplied by sine 82.82 multiplied by 150. So this is 29764.75, right? So we subtract these both and then divide it by 1000 to calculate, to get our answer in liters, right? So then we subtract 43364.45 from, sorry, 29764.75 from 43364.45. So this would be 13 point, this would be simply 13600 to be accurate, right? So we divided by 1000, these two zeros cancel out, and then we have 13.6 as our answer in liters, right? Now we have question number 28, where we are given with the lengths, dimensions. The diagram shows a brick in the shape of a cuboid. Calculate the total surface area of the brick, right? So the total surface area is simple. We have to multiply all the sides and then multiply it by 2 and then add them up. So this would be 2 multiplied by L into W plus 2 into L into H, then 2 into L into, sorry, L's are completed, this would be W into H, okay? So we multiply them, we plug in these values and then multiply them. So this would be 19.4 multiplied by 9.2, then 2 multiplied by 19.4 multiplied by 5.7, then plus 2, then multiplied by 5.7 multiplied by 9.2. Then we calculate and we get our actual answer as something like 683. Okay. Now we have the density of the brick is 1.9 grams per centimeter cube. Work out the mass of the brick, right? So density is basically mass over volume, which is given, right? Our volume would be 19.4 multiplied by 9.2 multiplied by 5.7, right? So we have our density as 1.9, which is in grams per centimeter cube, and we have our volume as 19.4 multiplied by 9.2, then multiplied by 5.7, right? This gives our mass in grams. You multiply this over there, so this would be 1930, right? I guess this would be it. Let's just recheck this. So this would be 9.2, then this would be 5.7. Yeah, so this would be 1933, right? So this will be divided by 1000 because it's asking our answer in kilograms. So this would be 1.933, right? This would be 1.933. Okay. Now we have 9000 bricks are needed to build a house. 200 bricks cost $175. Work out the cost of the bricks to build 5 houses. We need to make 5 houses, right? And 9000 bricks are needed. So 9000 multiplied by 5 simply is 45,000, right? 200 bricks cost $175. We need the amount for $45,000. Since it's a direct proportion, we can use the direct proportion method by cross multiplying it. Then we get our answer as 45,000 is multiplied by 175, and 200 is divided. So we get our answer as 39375. Right? Moving on to part C, we have Saskia builds a wall using 1500 bricks. She can build at a rate of 40 bricks each hour. She works for 9 hours each day. Saskia starts works on 6th July. Works every day until the wall is completed. Find the date when she completes the wall. Okay. So she needs to complete 1500 bricks. She does 40 bricks each hour, right? So let's just calculate how many hours she needs, right? So this would be 1500 divided by 40 simply. Hours she needs to complete, right? So this would be 1500 divided by 40. Sorry. This would be 37.5, right? She works for 9 hours a day, right? So we divided by day, we divided by 9 to get our days, right? So this would be 4.16, right? So she started on 6th, she worked on 6th and then 7th and then 8th and then 9th, right? 4 complete days are needed, and then she completes her day on 10th July. So this would be 10th July. Okay. Now Rafa has a cylindrical tank. The cylinder has a height of 105, diameter of 45. Calculate the capacity of tank in liters, right? So this would be, we have the cylinder's volume as pi r square h, right? So this diameter is divided by 2. So this would be pi into 45 divided by 2. And then we have 105, right? And it asks in liters, so this would be eventually divided by 1000 as well, right? And this is squared. So this would be simply pi multiplied by 22.5 squared multiplied by 105. Then we divided by 1000. So this would be 167, right? Moving on to question number 29, we have x and then x plus 3. The rectangle has a perimeter of 20. Find the value of x. So this would be 2 multiplied by x plus 3. So this would be 2x plus 3 and then multiplied by 2 to get our answer as 20. This 2 would be divided, and then 10 minus 3 would be 7, and then 7 upon 2. So this would be 2x plus 3 is equals to 10. This 3 will go over there, so this would be 7 and then upon 2 of this 2x. So this would be x equals to 7 over 2. So this would be 3.5. Okay. Now this rhombus has a perimeter 20 centimeters and angle y is obtuse. M is the midpoint of the sides. Find the value of y. Okay. So now we have to calculate the value of y over here. Since the rhombus has a perimeter of 20, right? So this means eventually that each length is of 5 centimeters, right? We need to calculate this angle y, right? So this would be 2.5. So this is 2.5, this is 20, right? Can we calculate this angle? Yes, because we have 5 over here as well, right? So let's just use the sine rule, which is a over sine a and b over sine b, right? So this will have as 2.5 sine 20, this, and this is 2.5 is 20, and then we use 5 in sine b, so this would be 5 and then sine b to calculate our answer. Then let's just quickly calculate this answer. So this would be, this sine b will go over there and this sine 20 will come over here, and then 2.5 again would be divided. So this would be 5 over 2.5 multiplied by sine 20 to get our sine b, right? So this would be 2 sine 20, that is 0.68 something, and then we sine inverse the answer, 0.6 something, right? So we get our b as 43.16, right? So this is 43.16. Then we add these two and then subtract it from 180. So this would be 180 minus 20 plus 43.16. So this would be 116.8. Okay. Now we have part C. The sector of a circle has a radius r and the perimeter 20 centimeters. Find the value of z. Right. So it has r and then z. And the perimeter is 20 centimeters. Right. So the perimeter is 20. You can calculate this as well, and we can use this to calculate z. Okay. So let's just quickly do this. So we have 40 over 360 multiplied by 2 pi r is equals to 20 minus 2r, right? Because this 20 involves this length of r and this length of r, right? So this is 20 minus 2r, and then you get the simply arc length. So we have this something, this, so this would be cancelled out. This would be 9, and then 2 pi r upon 9 is equals to 20 minus 2r. So this would be multiplied. So this would be 2 pi r is equals to 180 minus 18r, right? So this 18r would go there. So this would be 6 pi plus 18, and then 180. We get our r as 180 over 6 pi plus 18. So we get our r as 4.88, right? So now let's just use this. So this would be 20 right? We have our r as 4.885. Just take this as 4.885, right? We need to calculate this length. First we calculate this length by using this 20 degrees. This is opposite. We need to calculate the opposite. We have the hypotenuse, right? This would be sine 20. We have to calculate the perpendicular. We have our hypotenuse as 4.885, right? So this would be multiplied by sine 20. So we get our answer as 1.67, right? And then this would be multiplied by 2. Did we make some mistake over here or something? Because the value of r is different. So this is 1/9 and then 2 pi r, right? Yes. Then this goes over there, so this would be 180 minus 118 r. Yes, this is perfect. And then this r goes over there, so this would be, this would be 2 pi plus 18. Okay, so this would be 2 pi plus 18. So we'll update our r over here. Our r would be 180 over 2 pi plus 18, right? This would be 7.41, and we'll use this 7.41 over here. So we get our perpendicular as 7.41 sine 20. This would be 2.54, right? And this will be multiplied by 2 because this is this length. So this would be multiplied by 2. This will be multiplied by 2, and we get our answer as 5.07, right? Now let's just quickly move on to question number 30. We have the diagram shows a container for storing grain, right? The container is made up of hemisphere, cylinder, height of the cone, and this. Calculate the volume of the hemisphere. Give your answer as a multiple of pi. So we have volume of sphere with radius this. We need to calculate the volume of hemisphere, right? So this would be 4/3 pi r cubed multiplied by 1/2, right? We have a radius as 2. Let's just quickly plug in. This will be cancelled out, so this would be 2/3 pi, radius as 2 cubed, so we get our answer as 16 pi by 3, right? This is 8, and then 2 is 16, and then 16 pi by 3, right? The total volume of the container is this. Calculate the volume, calculate the value of h, right? So we have 16 pi by 3, and we have this, and then we have to calculate the height, right? So the volume, total volume would be volume of hemisphere plus volume of cylinder plus volume of cone, right? So volume of hemisphere is 16 pi by 3, plus we have volume of cylinder as pi r square h, right? So this would be pi r is basically 2. We have our height as 5.2, right? We have total volume as 88 pi by 3, and we have volume of cone as 1/3 pi r is 2 squared, and then we have to calculate the h, right? So just quickly solve this. So this would be 4 multiplied by 5.2 would be 104 upon 5 pi. This would be 16 pi by 3. We add them up. So this would be, just take this over there, 16 pi by 3, and then 88 pi by 3. 88 minus 16 would be 72. 72 pi by 72 divided by 3 would be 24. right? 24 pi, because this 16 goes over there and then this is divided, so this would be 24 pi, and then this again goes over there, so this would be negative 104 this, and then this is eventually multiplied by 3 and then divided by 4 pi, right? Multiplied by 3 and 4 pi divided, right? So these pi eventually cancelled out, and then these are multiplied. Okay, so this would be 24 minus 105 upon 4 upon 5, right? This is multiplied by 3 upon 4, right? So we get our answer as 2.4, right? So this is correct. Now let's move on to part 3. We have a container full of grain. Grain is removed from the container at a rate of this. 1 meter of grain has a mass of 620 kilometers per. Calculate the time taken to empty the container, giving your answer in hours and minutes, right? So we have the density given over here, right? We had our total volume as this, right? So let's just quickly calculate the mass it contains, right? So we have density as 620, right? We have volume as 88 pi by 3. We need to calculate the mass, so this mass would be 620 multiplied by 88 pi by 3, right? So this would be 57,135.09. We just take it as 1, right? So we have this mass total, right? And then it empties 35,000 kgs per hour, right? So let's calculate how many hours it will take. This would be divided by 35,000, right? So we get our answer as 1.63. So we definitely take this 0.63 and multiply it by 60 to get our hours and minutes, or we can just simply multiply this by 60, right? So this would be multiplied by 60. We get our answer as 97.94, right? So this would be 1 hour and 97.94 would be subtracted by 60. This would be 1 hour and 37 or 38 minutes, right? Now let's move on to part B. We have A and B are points on circle. Center O, radius this, and the area of the shaded region is 65, right? So this is R, and then this is the area of the shaded region, right? Area of the shaded segment. So we get our area of shaded segment by subtracting the area of triangle from area of sector, right? Sorry, this is triangle. So area of sector is 140 over 360 pi r squared, right? And area of triangle is 1/2 AB. A is R, and again this is R, so this would be R squared, and then sine 140, right? We have area of shaded segment as 65. Let's just quickly take R square as common over here, so this would be 114 over 36 would be simply cancel this out, so this would be 7 over 18 pi minus sine 940 multiplied by 0.5 would be 0.32, right? So this would be 7 upon 18 pi minus 0.3214. Right, so this would be 0.9, and then 65 is divided by 0.9, which is R square, and then we take the square root. So this would be 65 over this, and then we take the square root to get our answer as 8.496 or 8.5, right? Now moving on to question number 31, part A, we have the diagram shows a prism. The cross section of the prism is trapezium with CD parallel to AB, right? And then we have AB is equals to 10, CD is equals to 4, and the height is this. The volume of the prism is this. The prism is made of this, and 1 centimeter cube is this. So we are given with density. Calculate the mass of the prism. We need to calculate the mass of the prism, right? So we have height, we have parallel sides. So the volume is basically base area into height of the prism. We have our height. We have to calculate our height, right? Or no, we are given with the volume. We are given with the volume. Okay, so we are given with the volume, and we have the density, right? So density is mass upon volume, right? So this is 7.8. We have to calculate the mass. We have volume as 525, right? So this would be 7.8 multiplied by 525. This would be 4095. This would be divided by 1000 to get our answer in kg. So this would be 4.095. Okay. So this would be our part 1, and we have our part 2 as calculate the length of the prism, right? We need to calculate the length of the prism. This is this, right? So the volume is given by base area into height or the length, right? So base area is basically trapezium, and we have our trapezium's area as 1 upon 2 a plus b into height multiplied by length, which is given as 525, I guess. Yes, we are given with the volume as 525 here, right? So we have our sum of parallel sides as 10 and 4, that would be 14. We have our length, that is unknown, right? Sorry, we have our height here 5, and we have our length as unknown. This is 525. This cancels out. 7 into 5 is basically 35. This 35 is divided, so we get our length as 525 divided by 35 is 15, right? Moving on, we have calculated the total surface area of the prism, right? So there is these two prisms, right? We have the area of the prism, then we have to calculate this rectangle, then similarly this rectangle is same, then we have to calculate this base rectangle, and then this rectangle, right, to calculate the total surface area. So let's just quickly take this area of prism and then multiply it by 2. So this would be 1 upon 2, 14 into 5 into 2, right? So these two faces are covered now. This face and this face is covered, right? Now we need to cover this face and then this face, right? We have our length as 15, and this is basically we have to calculate, right? So this would be this, something like this. This is 4, and the leftover is 6. So this 6 would be divided by 2, so this would be 3, right? This is 5. We need to calculate this. Use the Pythagoras theorem, right? So this would be 5 squared plus 3 squared. So this would be root 34, right? We'll use this root 34 and then multiply it by 15, right? So this root 34 would be multiplied by 15 2 times, because this is this and then this again. This would be similar to this, right? And then we need to calculate the upper rectangle and then the lower rectangle, right? So the upper rectangle is 4 multiplied by 15, right? Then we have to add this 10 into 15, right? So we quickly add them up to get our final answer as 455, right? In a mathematically similar prism, the height of the trapezium is 10 centimeters. Calculate the volume of this prism, right? So we have 10 as the height of the prism. We had 5 over here, right? But since they are similar, we can use this formula, L1 over L2 whole cubed, V1 over V2, right? So we have 5 over 10, or we can just simply take 10 over 5 whole cubed. We need to calculate the V1. We have V2 as, we had our volume 1, volume 2 as 455 or 525. So what was the volume? Volume was 525, yes, right? So this would be 525. So this 525 would be multiplied over there, so we get our final answer as 4200, right? In part B, we have a cuboid measures 10, this. Each side is measured correct to the nearest centimeter. It's correct to nearest centimeter, right? So this can be 10. It could be either 10.5. It could be either 9.5 because it's the nearest to centimeter, right? So it's calculated in nearest to centimeter, so we divided by 2, we get our answer as 0.5, right? So this can be either 10.5 or 9.5, right? So this 10, if it is 9.5, then it comes back to again 10, and if it's 9.5, it comes up to 10, right? So we need the inequality, calculate the inequality for the volume, right? So let's just take the lesser amounts first. So this would be 9.5, this 0.5 would be subtracted, so this would be 3.5. We subtract 0.5 from here, so this would be 5.5, and then we take the maximums, right? So this would be 10.5, 4.5, and then 6.5, right? So we get our answers as 182.875 and 307.125. Okay, now let's quickly move on. We have question number 32. Regular octagon with sides of length 6. The diagram shows a part of the octagon and M is the midpoint of AB. Show that the angle OAM is 67.5, right? So when we have, let's just quickly calculate the inner angles, right? If we calculate the inner angles, what do we get, right? So this is n minus 2 multiplied by 180, and then this is divided by n. So we have our n as 8, and then 8 minus 2 multiplied by 180, and then 8, because it's half of the interior angle, so we divide it by 2 again. Okay, so this would be 67.5, I guess. 6 multiplied by 180, and then we divide it by 16. Yeah, this is 67.5. Calculate the area of the octagon, right? So we need to calculate the area of the octagons. So we have this triangle, right? We can use these triangles each and every time, and then multiply it by 8, right? So we have 1 over 2 multiplied by OA square. This can be OA. OA is we have the length as 6, right? And this is M as something like midpoint, so this would be 3. We have our OAM as 67.5, right? So can we calculate something as OA or something? So this would be 67.5, and then this would be can we calculate something by using this height? We have 3, we have this angle as 67.5. Can we calculate? So this would be tan 67.5 is equals to 3 over x, right? So this would be this is 67.5 and this is perpendicular. We need to calculate the base, right? So this would be 3 over tan 67.5, right? So this would be 7.24. Then we multiply the triangle by, we have our height, we have our base, right? So this would be 7.24 multiplied by 3. Then we multiply them by 8, right? Because there will be 8 triangles because it's an octagon, right? So we get our answer as 7.24 and then this 7.24 would be multiplied by 8. So we get our answer as 173.8. Find the area of the circle that passes through the vertices of the octagon. So we need to find the area of the circle that passes through the vertices of the octagon. So we have our radius as this OA, right? So can we calculate this OA? Yes, we can calculate this. We have this 3 as base. We need to calculate the hypotenuse. So this would be sine 67.5 is equals to 3 over x. So this would be 3 over sine 67.5, 3.24 or 25, right? So this would be pi r square. So this would be pi into 3.25 whole squared. Or this would be something different. Am I doing it right? I hope I'm doing it right. Pi multiplied by 3.25 whole squared. No, I haven't done this right. I guess I've done something wrong over here. So this will be 3 and this is 67.5. We need to calculate this, right? So we have sine and then we have to calculate this radius. So what do we get over here is that we can use a cos as well, right? Cos 67.5 is equals to 3 over r, right? So r would be 3 over cos 67.5. I'll just calculate this. This is 7.83. We use this r and the r square, pi r square. So this would be 19. We'll use this r, okay? So this was 3 over cos 67.5, right? This is 7.83, right? So we can use this as well, okay? So now let's move on to what we have over here. Part B. Diagram shows a horizontal container for water with a uniform cross section. The cross section is a semicircle. The radius of the semicircle is 0.45 and the length of the container is 4. Calculate the volume of the container, right? So first let's just calculate the area of semicircle. So this would be pi 0.45 squared upon 2. We need to calculate the volume, so we multiply it by length, right? So this would be pi multiplied by 0.45 squared upon 2 multiplied by 4. We should have multiplied by 2. So this would be 1.27, right? Now, okay, so now we have part 2. where we are given with the greatest depth of water in the container 0.3 meters. Diagram shows the cross section. Calculate the number of liters of water in the container, giving your answer to the nearest integer. Right. So let's just quickly solve this. Let's just take this length and this. So we have this as 0.45 because this is the radius, and this will be 0.45 minus 0.3. So this will be 0.15. Right. So let's quickly calculate this angle to get the area of the sector. Then we subtract this area of triangle from it. Okay. So we have this, because we can't directly calculate this, right? So because this is 0.45 and this is 0.3, we can't directly calculate it, right? So we have to use this area of sector, which will be subtracted by area of triangle, right? So area of sector would be subtracted by area of triangle, and then this is basically multiplied by 4 because this is eventually a prism, and this would be multiplied by 4, right? So we have the area of sector as we need to calculate the angle first. So this angle would be 0.15 and then 0.45. So this would be cos inverse 0.15 and then 0.45, right? And then upon 360 multiplied by pi, we have r square as 0.45 whole squared. Then we have the area of the triangle. This would be 1 upon 2, and then this is 0.45 and 0.45, right? And then this would be multiplied by 2, right? And here this again would be multiplied by 2, right? So this would be 2 and then sine 2 cos inverse 0.15 on 0.45, right? So you can solve this. Let's quickly calculate cos inverse of 0.15 upon 0.45 first. This would be 70.52. This would be multiplied by 2. This would be 141.06 divided by 360 multiplied by pi multiplied by 0.45 squared. Then this would be subtracted 1 upon 2, 0.45 squared, and sine 141.06, right? This is eventually multiplied by 4. So we get our answer as simply what would be our answer? Our answer would be 742, right? So this will be our answer eventually. Okay, now let's move on to question number 33. We have x minus 1, then this is this, and this is this. The area of the rectangle is 629 centimeters square, greater than the area of the square. The difference between the perimeter of the two shapes is k centimeter. Find the value of k. Right. So we have the areas, right? So let's just quickly solve this. So this would be x minus 1 multiplied by 2x plus 1. Let's just quickly simplify this. So this would be 2x 2x cubed, sorry, the 2x squared, and plus x minus 2x, then negative 1, right? So this is 2x squared, negative x, negative 1, and it is rectangle is greater than 29. There is a difference of 29, right, between the area of square and the area of rectangle, right? Area of rectangle is basically greater, so we subtract area of square, that is x multiplied by x, from it to get our answer as 29, right? So this would be x squared minus x minus 1 equals to 29. Bring this 29 over here, so this would be x squared negative x negative 30, right? So let's just quickly plug this in the calculator. So we get our answer as x equals to 6 and x equals to negative 5, right? So x can only be 6 because it can't be negative 5, right? So So this would be correct. Now since we have x equals to 6, difference between the perimeter of the two shapes, right? So we have 4 into 6, and then we have x minus 1 plus 2x plus 1. We multiply it by 2 and then plug in 6 over here, right? So this would be 3x, and 3 into 6 is 18. This minus 1 and plus 1 cancels out, so this would be 18 multiplied by 2, and this would be 24, and then this would be 36. 36 minus 24 is 12. Okay. Moving on to part B, we have the volume of the larger cube is 5 centimeters greater than the volume of the smaller cube. Show that this. Okay. So we have the volume of the larger cube would be y plus 1 whole cubed. Then we subtract this y cubed to get the answer of 5, because the difference between these two is 5, right? So this would be y cubed. We expand this by using the binomial, or we can simply use y plus 1, right? And then y plus 1, right? We already know how to use this. This is y square plus 2y plus 1. Then so we can simply multiply it, right? So we get our final answer as y cubed plus 3y square plus 3y plus 1 equals to 5. So we eventually get our answer as y square plus 3y square plus 3y, right? Sorry, this would be negative y cube, right? So this negative y cubed and positive y cube will cancel out. We'll get our answer as 3y square plus 3y. This negative 5 would come here, so this would be negative 4, right? So we have shown our answer, right? Find the volume of the smaller cube. Show all your working, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places, right? So we need to calculate the volume of the smaller cube. We can calculate the value of 5, then we can calculate the volume of smaller cube, right? So let's just quickly solve this by using the quadratic formula, which is we have our a as 3, we have our b as 3, we have our c as negative 4. So this would be negative 3 plus minus, we have our quadratic formula as negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We have negative 3 plus minus 3 squared would be 9, negative 4, and then negative 4 would be positive 16. 16 times 3 is 48, and then we divide it by 2a, that is 6. So we get our answers as, we'll get our two answers, one would be negative and one would be positive. So we get our answer of positive as 0.44. so we take this as 0.44, right? Sorry, we get our answer as something. Let's quickly calculate this. I guess I made some mistake in calculation. So this would be 3 and then negative 4. Get an answer as 0.758, right? 0.7583, and the other one is negative, right? So we take the positive one only, because we need to have y as positive, right? So this 0.7583 would be squared to give our answer 0.44 or 0.575, right? So this could be, I think I made some mistake again. Let's quickly check this. So this would be 2, this would be 3, so 3, this would be negative 4. Get our answer as 0.7583, and then 1.75. That's 0.7583 whole squared would be 0.575. Right? So we get our answer as 0.7583 over here, right? And then we do this as squared, So we get our answer as 0.575. Right, because it's the volume of the smaller cube. Smaller cube is basically, sorry, this would be cubed because it's a volume, right? So this would be cubed. Since this is y cubed, sorry, I made a mistake. This would be 0.57583 again. I basically made a square over here, so I was getting a wrong answer. So this would be 0.44, right? So let's move on to our last question, that is question number 34. We have our part A as find the lowest common factor of 30 and 75, right? So let's just take the LCM. This would be 5. Let's just take 5 quickly. This would be 6 and then 15. We can take 3 again, so this would be 2 and then 5. We can take 2 and then 5 separately, so this would be 15. 15 multiplied by 2 is basically 30, and 30 multiplied by 5 is 150, so this would be 150. Share 608 in the ratio 4:5:7, right? This would be 4 over 4 plus 5 plus 7 would be 16 multiplied by 608, right? So this would be 608 divided by 4 basically. This would be 152, right? Then 5 over 16 multiplied by 608. Then just quickly do this as well, right? So this would be 5 over 16 multiplied by 608, that would be 190, right? So this would be 7, this would be 266, right? Now work out giving your answer in the standard form, right? So let's just quickly do this. Let's add these two to calculate, to make this as 10 power 4 multiplied by 100, right, to reduce these two powers, right? So this would be 6.39 multiplied by 10 power 4 and then 245 multiplied by 10 power 4, right? So these two will cancel out, and then 6.39 over 245 would be 0.026, and this comes over here. This would be 2.6 into 10 power minus 2, sorry, minus 2. Okay, write 0.27 as fraction, so this would be 27 over 100, right? Now we have a stone has a volume of 45 and a mass of 126 gram. Find the density giving the units of your answer, right? So we have mass as 126, we have our volume as 45. Density is basically mass over volume. This is in grams and this is in centimeter cube. This would be 126 divided by 45, so this would be 2.8 grams per centimeter cube, right? I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you.